Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Zoner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
grab a cup of love.
A Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Hey, guys, it's John Davis, and I am here today with another episode of Spirit Cafe, of course, with my magnificent cohort in bringing love to the world. How's that for a new way of saying it? My good friend Tamara Zoner is here as well. Hello, Tamara. How are you?
Hello, John. I like that better than crime. Yay.
Yeah, but crime is more fun. It's more, it rolls off the tongue a little easier.
I do have a tank top that says spiritual gangster. So maybe we
are yeah.
I don't
know. Spiritual gangster. Did you ever see the video for Amish Paradise by Weird Al Yankovic? Most hysterical video in history. And my personal love is the fact that they used Florence Henderson. That was the best.
You're gonna have to link that video.
I will. I laugh every time. So I'm excited. You found us this wonderful guest, and she and I got on about 10 minutes before you, and been just sitting here chatting, discovering we have a lot in common. And one of them is we both know you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest and so on and so forth.
Okay, now I looked for a proper bio, but hers is very, very short. So I'll just tell you what I know about our lovely guest, Carmyn Subba. I have known Carmyn for a very long time. I don't even know how long, because I'm not sure if we met in middle school or in high school, but I know I've known her since high school. And way back then, Carmyn was one of those effortlessly cool people who just did her own thing and didn't try to be anything she wasn't. And I always really liked her vibe and just the energy that she put out. But honestly, we didn't know each other very well. We weren't we had mutual friends, but we didn't really hang out. I think we were both in choir together for a while though. Yeah. So that was then. And then, fast forward a million years to present day where we reconnected on Facebook, and I'm seeing her posts throughout these last few years going, wow, I really like this person. She's into things I'm into. And then one day, not so long ago, she put out on her Facebook page that she needed an assist for a Reiki training she was doing. And I was like, hello, me. I want to learn this. And so I got to spend actually 2 full weekends with her, as it turned out, watching her in her element. So Carmyn is a Reiki master, teacher, energy healer, sound healer, massage therapist, and also an artist. I won't let her not share that one. So, and I sat for, 30 plus hours in a classroom with her, with a bunch of massage students learning Reiki. And it was amazing. She has such a bright, beautiful, loving presence. And sometimes she seems soft, but there's this strength in her. She doesn't need to push it out, because it's just really present and really beautiful. And I think every person in that room just felt pure love. John, we talked about last week, just that the feeling of spiritual people. Carmyn has that same feeling to be around. So I could go on for 10 more hours, but let's get to it. Welcome, Carmyn.
Hi. Tamara. Wow, what an introduction.
So obviously I love you.
I'm really glad you're here. I love you too.
Well, and I've only known you for 10 minutes, and I completely agree with what Tamara said, so it's all good. Yeah, you definitely have that feeling, which is a great thing.
Oh,
so why don't you tell us a little bit about you and and who you are and how you do what you do and what you do and why you do and all that stuff.
Well, I was, as Tamara, mentioned, I was kind of different growing up. I kind of felt I was different, and I didn't really know why, but I didn't have any dogma. I was raised without any religion, just morals. So I kind of just felt the freedom to do what I wanted to do and be who I wanted to be, and nobody told me otherwise. So thank you for that. But I got into massage therapy about 17 years ago and never looked back. I was a graphic designer. I didn't really like it. I didn't like sitting in a queue. I knew there was something else for me. And I remembered when I worked for a massage therapist, and she came out of her office once, and I could see these green flames shooting off of her hands.
Mm.
I was like, oh, what is that? I want some of that. And so that led to massage school, which led to energy work. And the rest is kind of history, really.
Kind of history. And so you found an obvious calling or a passion.
Right.
Did you know it was a calling or passion when you first saw it?
I did.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to do it, and I thought, oh, I need to get a real job. I need to, I need to do all those things that you're supposed to do. Um, and then somewhere along the line, I met my now husband, and he kind of was like, just do what you want to do. I'll support you. And so there we go. It provided me the avenue to pursue what I always wanted to do.
Mm.
And so I'm totally grateful for him for that.
Well,
And
that's beautiful.
yeah.
Tamara, in your introduction, you knew something was different. So Tamara, were you surprised when she got into this kind of work?
No, because from what I knew of her, she was always comfortable doing her own thing. And this is a relatively courageous path, to go into spiritual work and energy healing, where a lot of people, especially where we're from,
Yeah.
in, the just barely the yellow shaded area of the Detroit metro area. It's not very progressive, let's say. And so there's a lot of opportunity to feel the pressure of being, fitting in. But I don't think Carmyn ever felt that. And like you mentioned, Carm, you didn't have that dogma growing up. I love how supported you were to simply explore your own path. And that actually makes me feel really happy to hear, because it's kind of how I'm raising my children, right? Like you can do your own thing. And if you have questions about my thing, then we'll talk, and I'm open and I talk about it. But like, I didn't get them baptized or make them go down a specific route, because I'm not on that route that I was raised on. And it feels a lot better. So I love
Yeah,
that.
that was exactly it. My parents were like, if you want to go to church, you can go with your grandparents. But, Sundays were family days.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go do something as a family.
I also like the fact that something you said was, I didn't have any dogma. We just were, raised morally. And, that to me is a beautiful statement, because, there's a lot of people who nowadays aren't being raised morally.
Right.
And I think that it's lovely to see someone who actually instills that goodness, because that's where morals come from. It's just goodness.
Yeah, just
and I think a
kindness
lot
and
of people are
goodness.
just so, what they call, is the reverse of helicopter parenting, where you're always hovering them, but the opposite, where it's sort of neglectful parenting. They're like, letting the television and the internet raise their children nowadays. And I think they're not instilling those morals.
Yeah, that was the first thing. The first thing was follow the golden rule.
That's wonderful.
That was
Wonderful.
it. That was it.
So after the massage, did you, how did the massage transition to Reiki?
I learned Reiki in massage school, just the way I teach Reiki in massage school. And I got to a point in my career where I was suffering from burnout, and I knew I could always fall back into this energy work.
Mm.
And probably about just before I turned 40, I was like, I got to do something. I got to do something, because I love helping people. I love doing what I do. And so that was the natural transition. Yes, I'm doing energy work all along. Let's just pull back this physical work and interact with people on a different level.
Right.
Because, disease happens out here before it gets in here. So if we can start working out here in our energy field, we can circumvent many things that may happen to us.
Right. I think that's beautiful. I think that the idea of for me, what the quote unquote healing work that I do is based around the idea of just resonating the loving energy.
Yeah.
And when you look at Reiki, uh, the word Reiki is interesting. It breaks down the for Rei meaning spirit or soul, Ki meaning vital energy, and it literally is spiritual energy. Is what the word actually means.
Spiritual energy work. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and so to me that's beautiful, because I think we are that spiritual energy, and I in my belief system, it's all about our disease comes from our fears and our anxieties that we place upon that energy.
Absolutely.
But I also believe that we're here to experience those fears and anxieties so that we can experience that spiritual energy more fully, because we can't necessarily understand the unconditional love of that spiritual energy without knowing that fear and that opposite. But that doesn't mean we can't consciously choose to release it.
Absolutely. You just have to come from a place of love and let people process how they process, because
Yeah.
the only way through is through.
Right. The only that's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt right there. The only way through is through.
The only way through is through. So Carmyn, what attracted you to Reiki specifically, out of all there's so many different, types of energy work? What is your love when you teach for Reiki shines through? So I want our listeners to hear, like, what really attracted you to Reiki specifically?
I think it was the simplicity of it. We're born with this. Kids come out and they know love. They know that unconditional love. And that's really, to me, what Reiki is that unconditional love. And we all have it. And it was so simple. It was like, you hurt, put your hands here. And when I had my first attunement, it was almost like an awakening, that everything I thought was real growing up, that everybody kind of said, oh, no, you can't hear plants. You can't hear rocks. Everything that I felt was energy just became so true. It was like, boom, the lights went on, and it really did change my life.
Yeah, that the awareness that everything is energy is huge. I often talk about the idea of, when you look across the room at something, that thing you're looking at is made of pure atoms, and those atoms are nothing but an energy event. But then you have to have this moment where you realize that the eyes that you're looking at it with are also made of those same atoms, and the air in between is made of those same atoms, and everything is this pure energy. And we are our loving spirit conscious self. And in that space, we have to realize that we can get in our head about things, but it really comes down to feeling that love, as opposed to thinking around that love, or putting a bunch of overthinking around that love, rather than it just being in it.
That's exactly it. Just be. We can think ourselves to death, can't we? Right. You take yourself out of it. You just take yourself out of it, and you bring that love.
Right.
So you mentioned that when you were a child, you could hear rocks and plants, and tell us more about that. Now, what was that like when you told other people about that?
I didn't tell other people about it. It was like innately, I knew that if I talked about it, I was going to be looked at a little bit stranger than I already was. But yeah, I can, from a very young age, I can, see and experience the energy of something. I'm sitting here with crystals all around me to help ground me, so that I can have a conversation and not fly out into the ethers and go, oh, the trees really, they're so beautiful today. And I am going to go for a walk later and get lost in the woods because it's a beautiful day. It calls to me.
That's so beautiful. And I do love how, because John and I have talked about this on the podcast, like there are some spiritual people who are just so out there. I think that's where that word woo woo comes from. Like, you can't really relate with someone who's so always up there in the ethers. And you make a concerted and conscious effort to ground yourself so that you can live on this earthly plane, right? And not just always be in a spiritual realm. So you kind of dance between, it seems like.
I kind of feel like I do, I talk about balance all the time. And, I've got my crystals right here next to me, holding me down. But I do talk about energetic hygiene and how you really need to be connected and grounded to do this work, because it will take you right up out of your crown, and you'll get in the flow of energy. And it's a beautiful thing, but we do have to live here in this reality.
At least some of the time.
Yeah, at least some of the time.
Sorry, I just stepped out for a while. Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, but you came back.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to come back. Yeah, it's funny. When you talk about stepping out and being grounded, have you ever going out? Have you ever experienced anything on the other side?
Like what?
Like, for instance, when I did my first astral travel work, I went out and found myself standing in a pure white expanse, and someone was standing there looking at me. He says, "You're not supposed to be here yet," and I fell back into body. right.
Yes, I actually have had a very similar experience.
Of course you have, because we have a lot in common.
Yeah, and it kind of went exactly like that. You're not supposed to be here right now, and then
you fall back out.
Here I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
So
when I was younger, I used to do that a lot. I've learned to ground a little bit better with age and wisdom, but I used to do that a lot.
Right. Well, and it's funny because that's the definition of the bodhisattva, is to be able to be there, but choose to be here for the work. And that to me is a noble purpose, to be here and choose to do this work. And that's what it seems like you're doing, is you're choosing to be here in service, and specifically loving service, as opposed to a lot of metaphysical folks. And I had someone the other tell me the other day that we don't use metaphysical anymore, but I'm like, it's just still terminology. Don't get all wrapped into it, right? But a lot of metaphysical folks, I find, some of them are really into metaphysics because it makes them feel powerful. They learn the next modality, they learn the next thing. And when I hear you talk about Reiki, it's interesting, because I know a lot of Reiki practitioners who I can't stand to be around, because they themselves are all about the fact that I'm a master and I do this and I do this, and they're very ego based around it. But that's not what I get from you at all. You are more about the essence of it, the essence of the spirit energy, which I think is key to your success in the work you're doing, is the fact that you are literally coming to the love essence as opposed to the modality essence.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about Reiki, it's, Reiki 1 is you learn your hand placements, you learn all this, but as you progress, it's about self-mastery. It's about tempering that ego. And sure, we need a healthy ego, but it doesn't have to be there all the time. And when you're in service to someone else, it really shouldn't be there at all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And she lives that. I have to say, I first was introduced to Reiki when I was living in the UK, and there was this woman who seemed really cool. And then when she went to teach me, she totally flaked out and eventually just disappeared and stopped answering my emails and calls. And I was like, what? That's not Reiki.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what it's supposed to be. That's not what it sounded like. If you're this super loving spiritual teacher, then shouldn't you be showing up and walking your talk, right? That's what I believe. Like, we should walk our talks. I don't anything that I'm not willing to do or have done myself. And so with Carmyn, I was a little like, I don't know, because that last Reiki experience, but being with her in her classroom just changed everything. And seeing her as she moves through her life, how you live that Reiki, you live it, Carmyn. You don't just like teach it and talk about it, you live it. And that's what's so beautiful, like a yoga teacher who goes out and, drinks 100 beers and then like, teaches her classes hungover isn't living yoga, right? Or who can't. It is that self-mastery. I love how you said that, because that, I think, is what makes it so authentic, and it shows you, like, you show up authentically, and it's that self-mastery that shines through. I love it. It's beautiful. I want you to talk a little bit about your artistry.
That's always hard for an artist.
I heard a big oof. What was that?
I'm just gonna say, like, because we're friends in real life and we're friends on Facebook, I get to see things that all the listeners don't necessarily or won't. And I know this is an area for Carmyn where she hasn't claimed herself as an artist, or at least she hadn't recently, and yet she creates the most beautiful pieces. In our class, she had these pendulums that she had made, and they just vibrate with Carmyn's energy and all this love. And so I'm going to invite you today on this podcast, Carmyn, to claim yourself an artist.
Well, and that's what John and I talked about while we were waiting for you, is our art background. I make stuff. I do. I make stuff. I make pendulums. Currently, I make pendulums. Oh boy. They come to me intuitively. I had a dream that I needed to do this, to make these, and so I've been making them the last few months, and I've got them in a few stores. But I've always made jewelry. I've always just created intuitively, and different projects will catch my eye. I found something while I was cleaning yesterday and went, oh, I need to make that now. So I do a lot of different types of art, and I let it just kind of flow through me, because that's, I think, what art is supposed to be, is just opening yourself up and letting it flow through.
I could not agree with you more. I not only do painting, but metalwork as well. But the other thing that I did was script writing. And I used to find that when I just sat down with the characters that I was writing for, the plays would write themselves.
Yeah.
Because I just opened up in the story. And then I go back and I'd read them and I'd be like, where the heck did that come from? Holy smokes, that's amazing. And I see the same with you. You're opening up to not only your artistic side and that side of your nature, but also your spiritual side. You followed that, your heart, and you went there. Indian Larry, the famous motorcycle builder, used to say, do what you love and the money will come. And obviously you're just staying open and following what you love and experiencing that. But yeah, you're an artist, obviously, or Tamara wouldn't be bragging on you.
I really am, and I can't wait until Carmyn and I meet up and I get the piece that I have secured with her that she created. It's so beautiful. She had done this. I don't know. You'd put some pieces on for that Small Business Saturday, and she posted them on Facebook, and I looked through them, and they're all beautiful. But this one, Sally, just like pierced my heart, and I was like, that's mine. I need it. That's like that one. It's not I need it. It needs me.
It needs you.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And so we're gonna have to work that out off video. But yeah. So I love it, and I hope you can all feel Carmyn, because there's this softness, but like I mentioned in the intro, this solid strength. It's just so beautiful to be around. We were talking about Hema a couple of weeks ago. Did you hear that interview, Carmyn? Did you watch Hema yet?
No, I haven't heard Hema yet.
Oh, you're gonna love her. It's that same feeling of this really loving presence, and you just feel good to be around.
Well, and you know what's else so
I
beautiful
feel the same way.
about you, Carmyn, is the fact that um your loving presence is so simple feeling. It's, in other words, it's not convoluted with a bunch of stuff. It just
Yeah.
is. You are living the I am moment in a Ray key, in the truest sense of the word, spirit energy way, and it comes across very, very clearly. And I agree with Tamara. There is a definite feeling there.
It's easy a lot. It's very easy. Some days it's very hard, but that's why it's practice, right? Every day is a practice.
And I
Yes.
liked your use of the word mastery too, because a lot of people mistake what mastery truly is. Mastery is not complete awareness of the skill set. Mastery is understanding the skill set and yet being able to improvise and experiment and move forward and continue to grow. Because if someone who's a true master, if they don't continue to grow and improvise and experiment, someone's going to come along that knows the entire skill set they do and surpass them with their own improvisation and mastery. And then, then that person is no longer the master because the skill set itself has moved forward. And so mastery is an ongoing process. So I think that's really great that that's what you're doing.
It is. And I know plenty of people who call themselves masters, and they just stop right there. I'm a master. I'm like, oh, but you're there to master life. You're there to master the things that irritate you. You're there to master all of the things, and to master yourself, and to keep yourself in that nice centered place where you can be of service.
Mhm. Yeah. So of all the things that you do and all the things you teach, what's your current favorite? Like, what lights you up the brightest right now?
Ooh, all of it. That's a really tough question. I thrive best, I think, when I can have that diversity. But what I really love to do is to see clients one on one,
Mm,
because that's where I can make that big shift, or help them with anything that they need to get to that shift. I'm not your typical massage therapist. I throw a lot at you in a session. So that's really my favorite thing to do. Is it happens organically, and it happens beautifully, and I love being in that flow with a client.
mm,
So that's really what I'm loving to do right now.
yeah. I love the right now because, it changes as we flow through life. What do you wish more people knew?
Hmm. That it really is simple to come from a place of love. It's very simple. Just take a step back from you and realize that you are part of everything and everyone through all time and all space. And that really is a concept that is hard to get across to a lot of people. But that's really what I wish they knew, because they would be a lot kinder.
Mhm.
The
I
world would be a
love
better place.
I love that. I love that because it's exactly what I believe. I believe it's so simple that we have a hard time grasping the simplicity of it.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what, all the modalities and religions is really trying to put a structure around something so simple so that they can grasp it. And they get lost in the structures and the modalities around it, but it really comes back down to just be love.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. I had a nice reminder last night that that's exactly what it is. You reach a point where you stop asking questions and you just be.
Mhm.
Of course, the
Amen.
questions come up, but but that's what I try to do, is just be.
Mm.
Well, I would argue against you right there. I don't think you try. I think you're definitely doing
Thank you.
it.
Yeah, I think that obviously you're well practiced and that there's ease to it. So I always joke, well, this year I joke, I didn't joke before, but this year I joke that I've had to work at just being,
Yeah.
instead of doing all the time. And then someone caught me on that and laughed at me, and they're like, "Oh, you had to work at it." Like, yeah, I did. I did have to work at just being and allowing, playfulness to be in my day and flow to be in my day, because I was raised to do.
Mm-hmm.
And being, if you're just being, then you're not doing, and there's something wrong with that, right? So I really had to deprogram and then reprogram how I wanted to move through my life. And for you, I feel like you were so lucky to have these parents who allowed that, and this experience that allowed you to move through without anybody telling you what you were supposed to be doing.
Right.
Or being.
Right. I thought it, at one point in my journey, I thought it was a bad thing because I didn't have a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I did have a foundation. I just had to look at things differently. And the things that I don't have are, I don't have a lot of guilt. I don't have a lot of shame. I don't do things that make me feel guilty or shameful in general. But, I don't have that. And that, I think, is such a blessing.
Yeah, such a gift. We talk about guilt on this podcast a lot.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think it's a guilt is just a self-imposed purgatory. It's like you're kind of like choosing to go there. And I think that when I look at what you're doing right now, you're going through life, and you're just being this essence. Now on this channel, we've talked about the day that I met Tamara's owner, and how I could feel her presence and how she changed the room. And I noticed that when I walked through a grocery store, people turn and smile at me all the time, but I walk through life with a smile. That's kind of who I am. Do you find that as you walk through life, Carmyn, that you are experiencing the environment around you change the experience of the people that you walk by?
Absolutely. That's one of the funnest things about what I do is, a lot of people like to tell me their life stories, but I'm there for it. I'm there to listen. Yeah, I do notice that.
Yeah.
I seem to bring a calmness to a room instead of, Tamara brings this joyful presence to a room that you just want to be around because she's such a light being. But I think I bring a calmness to people that I'm around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can totally see that.
We do good things together, Carm.
Yeah, we do. The classes that we were in together were some of my favorites, just because, of the energy that we both had together.
Yeah, yours is very grounding and very calming, and I'm all like, whoosh, let's go.
And Carmyn, now you understand why I roped Tamara's owner into doing this show with me, because it was totally a rat roping her into this.
It was so hard. It was like, we should do this podcast. I was all, okay.
Guess we're doing this now.
It was the best.
Love it.
I mean, because podcasts kept coming up. And when things keep coming up, I listen. I know that that's the universe talking to me. And then when I get a direct invitation, well, if I say no, I'm just being silly, right? So say yes to the open doors.
Absolutely.
And I want to say this today on our podcast. We are just a couple weeks away from 1 year of podcasts.
Wow.
We are. Today's episode that went up was with Deanna Fitzpatrick. That was episode 44. And we have 2 more that are already in queue. And all we have to do is get to 52.
Wow.
Right. And that's a year.
Pretty impressive.
That is impressive. Awesome job.
And Carmen's been one of our biggest fans. Like, she told me all about how she listens, and
I too.
And I appreciate that.
I do. And John, I save a handful of episodes so that I can binge them, because they're so short and compact. I love that. And then I can get like 2 or 3 in a sitting.
Yeah, that's how we do it too. We like to record 2 or 3 and then get them over with. I mean, do them because we love them.
Get them over with.
So Carmyn, how do people get a hold of you? How do they learn more about you? And so I can put all that in the paperwork below.
Carmyn Subba, CarmynSubba.com, Carmyn Subba on Facebook, Carmyn Subba. You can Google me. I'm the only one that comes up.
and that is true, because I have done that. I have looked under Carmyn Subba and I have found you everywhere.
Yes. There's only one of me. So
Well,
yeah,
I don't have that
type
problem.
in my name
I'm
and
John Davis.
you'll
There's a
find
million
me.
of us.
There's a million of you. Yeah. So yep, just Carmyn Subba. You'll get a hold of me.
That's great.
And you do distance Reiki too, right?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I do.
as I do now as a student of Carmyn.
I love this.
Yeah.
There's the more people who put love into the world, the better the world is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. I always tell people get they contact me and they're talking about how terrible the politics are, how nasty this person is, and they're all focused on that. I was like, your job is not to focus on that. Your job is to make your part of the world loving.
Mm-hmm.
So make your part of the world loving and let it bleed out from you. Be the change you want to see in the world, as God would say.
Yeah,
and
make it happen. Like, figure out, this is exactly what I just talked about on my Monday recording that will be live later today, but in the past for those listening to this. I love time warps.
We're doing that space-time thing again.
Yeah. Is that, what matters to you matters. And if you're not clear on what that is, you deserve to take the time to figure it out so that you can create a more loving experience of life for yourself, because that is what ripples out to others. So we three here doing what we love and being love and sharing love and teaching love impacts everyone around us. And then they feel like love and share the love, and then they share the love, and it just this is what the world needs. It's not just light workers, it's love workers, and I mean that in a light sense, not in a red light sense.
And let me just throw this in, because I think it needs to be said. I said, if you really want to find out what truly matters, there's this little thing I've heard of called the passion test that you can go try with a little lady I know called Tamara, and she can take you through the whole process and help you find what truly matters. And then after you find out what truly matters, you need to go out and get a massage and a good Reiki treatment to let it all sit in. So there you go.
Release and clear those blocks through Carmyn's work so that you can actually create that life you love so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, parting words of wisdom, Carmyn.
Oh. Parting words of wisdom. Just love everybody. Everybody's doing their best. Be kind to everybody. The world is insane right now, so all we can do is just put that love out there. Be kind to the people around us. That's all I have.
That's all you need.
Yeah, just love everyone, be kind to everybody, and wash your hands.
Sage advice. Awesome. Anything else you want to add, John?
I'm just overjoyed about this episode. I think this is going to be one of our most popular and most fun, and I think people are going to feel the presence of Carmyn as they listen to this, and also they'll feel our excitement about experiencing Carmyn. So I think it's going to be a really, really great episode. And thank you, Carmyn, for coming here today.
Thank you both for having me. This has been this is my first podcast, so this this is a lot of fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time with it. Tamara, you want to take us out of here?
Sure do. The first of many, I hope, Carmyn, because your message is definitely worth sharing and worth hearing. So to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this fun fest as we have, and feel the beautiful, loving energy that is coming from the three of us together. And if you're in the Detroit metro area, perhaps you look Carmyn up and get a massage or some hands-on Reiki and buy some of her gorgeous, gorgeous jewelry. And if not, find her online and you'll be happy you did. So like this episode, or give us a good rating wherever you're listening from. We want to hear from you, and go out there and Share the love in your heart so that others can experience more of it on a regular basis, because we all need it, especially right now. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Leave all comments and suggestions on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page.